Chapter 7. The Tides of War. The hum of the control panel still echoed in Taylor's mind as he stood on the ridge, overlooking the makeshift base below. His heart beat a slow, steady rhythm, the weight of the recent discovery resting heavily on his shoulders. The shield generator had been disabled, a crucial victory, but this war was far from over. A gust of wind stirred the alien grass beneath his feet, carrying with it the scent of distant rain. Behind him, his team regrouped, faces lined with exhaustion, but alight with a new hope. They had tasted the enemy's weakness, and now it was time to strike. "Ready the forces," Taylor whispered to himself, the words almost lost in the breeze. The weight of command settled on him once more, but this time it was different. This time, they had a plan. The dim light of dawn barely crested the horizon as Taylor's forces moved into position. The alien technology they had salvaged hummed softly, flickering with a cold blue light. Taylor's fingers traced the control of an ancient weapon, the alien symbols now familiar under his touch. It was time. With a nod, the signal was given. A pulse of energy surged through the air, and in the distance, the enemy's shields flickered, then collapsed. The first wave hit hard, disabling communications and cutting through supply chains. Taylor's forces moved swiftly, their precision honed by the pain of previous losses. But, as expected, the enemy responded. The ground shook beneath their feet as the first counterattack struck. Taylor barely had time to react before the sky darkened. Enemy forces descending in a well-coordinated assault. The chaos was palpable, but Taylor stood firm. His allies looked to him now, not just for orders, but for hope. He shouted above the din of battle, rallying his forces. "Hold the line!" For a moment, it seemed as if they would be overwhelmed. The enemy's numbers seemed endless, their assault relentless. But Taylor's resolve hardened. This was no longer just a fight for survival. It was a fight for victory. The battle raged on for hours, the sun rising high and falling once more. As the enemy forces pushed forward, the air thickened with smoke and the acrid scent of burning machinery. Taylor's side began to falter, their ranks thinning as exhaustion took its toll. And then it happened. In the thick of battle, a blast struck too close, and Taylor saw one of his closest allies fall. The world seemed to stop for a moment, his vision narrowing to that single point of devastation. He stumbled toward the fallen soldier, but he already knew it was too late. Grief surged through him, but it was quickly swallowed by something colder, harder. They couldn't afford to stop now. The war had to continue. Around him, faces etched with pain and determination pressed forward, refusing to break. For every loss, there was a moment of hesitation, a fleeting glance exchanged between comrades. But then they pressed on, the weight of sacrifice fueling their resolve. The battle had become a war of attrition. The relentless push and pull of forces drained both sides. But it was Taylor's side that felt the strain most. Still, they fought, their will to survive and triumph, keeping them upright, even as their bodies screamed for rest. As the hours bled into days, a breakthrough came. Amid the carnage, Taylor's team managed to strike at the heart of the enemy's defenses, exploiting the weakness they had uncovered. The enemy's forces faltered, their once unstoppable advance grinding to a halt. For the first time since the war began, Taylor could feel it. A shift in the air, a flicker of hope. His forces rallied, driving the enemy back with renewed strength. They pressed forward, deeper into enemy territory, carving a path through the chaos. Taylor's heart pounded as he watched his comrades push ahead. For a moment, just a moment, victory seemed possible. They had broken the enemy's lines, but Taylor knew better than to assume the battle was over. The enemy was already regrouping, preparing something worse, something that would test them in ways they couldn't yet imagine. He took a deep breath, eyes scanning the battlefield. This war was far from over, and the real test was yet to come. As the dust of battle settled, the enemy unleashed their response, a weapon of terrifying power, an artifact hidden deep within their stronghold. The sky darkened once more, this time not with enemy forces, but with something far more ominous. A pulse of energy ripped through the landscape, shattering the ground beneath their feet, leaving only devastation in its wake. Taylor staggered as the world around him trembled. He could feel it. A deep, primal fear settling into his bones. His forces scrambled to regroup, but it was chaos. Their defenses lay in ruins, obliterated by the sheer force of the enemy's weapon. Desperation clawed at the edges of his mind, but Taylor couldn't afford to give in. Not now. Not when they were so close. In the midst of destruction, a plan began to take shape. Fragile and dangerous. But it was their only chance. "We need to go back," he said, his voice hoarse but steady. "Back to the ruins. There's something there. Something I think we can use." It was a bold plan, one that would take them deep into enemy territory once more. But Taylor knew it was their only option. The ancient technology hidden within the planet's core held the key. They had no choice but to seek it out once more. With the enemy's new weapon looming over them, Taylor's forces retreated, narrowly escaping the relentless onslaught. The retreat was chaotic, filled with close calls and heart-pounding moments as they fled through the ruins, the enemy hot on their heels. The narrow passageways of alien landscape became their only refuge once again, the towering structures offering some semblance of cover as they made their way back to safety. Every step felt like a gamble, but Taylor's team pressed on, determined to survive. As they finally regrouped at their base, battered and bruised, but alive, Taylor looked out over the horizon. The war had taken its toll, but they weren't done yet. Not by a long shot. The real battle was just beginning. As he stood in the dimming light, his thoughts were interrupted by a message. A chilling revelation that sent a shiver down his spine. The weapon they had faced was not the worst of it. Something far more dangerous was stirring deep within the planet. An ancient force that could change the course of everything. Taylor's eyes darkened, his mind already racing ahead. The fight wasn't over. It was only just beginning.